Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds number 30. So it's where I like to collect together all the new music that I've purchased over the past week and present it to you. Get it from local record stores and online retail places like Amazon, eBay, and more. For this past week, I've got 9 new music finds to go through with you. 3 of these are new releases and 6 of them came from used record store finds. So before we dive into all that though, if you are new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this with New Music Finds episode number 30. And as always, we kick off with new releases, and this one in particular is a reissue, a 30th anniversary reissue. Metallica, the Black Album. So just came out this past September 10th, and of course the Black Album being the 5th studio album from Metallica. As I mentioned, 30th anniversary, so 1991 came out. This one here is a 3 CD deluxe set of this thing. The first disc of this is the album itself remastered. Second disc on here is titled Riff, Demos, and Rough Mixes. And then disc 3 is live material from 1991 to 93. But let's talk a little bit about the quality. I mean, first of all, the remastering on this sounds really good. In my opinion, it has not been overly elevated in sound or anything to that nature, so it still sounds good. It sounds like it originally did. I know some people were concerned this album was going to, quote, get ruined kind of a thing, but I don't think that's the case. I think it sounds really great what they've done with it. The second disc, that is the Riffs, Demos, and Rough Mixes, is very rough in my opinion. I mean, it must come from cassette tape recordings and things of that nature, and I always question, when stuff is really that rough, why it gets released kind of a thing. It's not, the second disc itself is not something that I will probably listen to again. It's the kind of thing that's really cool to hear, the process of a song being recorded and the stages it goes through and that sort of stuff. But outside of that, it's not a listen that grabs me and pulls me in like an album would kind of a thing. But it is still good to have for the collection. I am glad that they're releasing these things, but at the same time, it's just not something necessarily I think that I will be digging into with repeated listens. Now, the third disc, though, live recordings that are from 1991 to 93, and yes, there is a lot of live stuff out there, in particular the live Binge and Purge box set that you see behind me, but their live stuff is always so good. So I guess if nothing else, you get the remastered album, plus you get the live disc, and you get the bonus demo. So I got the thing for $14.99, all 3 CDs for $14.99. So for me, that's a steal. And regardless of the quality or how much of all this material you want for $14.99, it's worth it for the remastering alone, but you do get a bunch of bonus stuff there. All right, the next one is a new release for me, at least. It has been out for a few months. It just took a long time to get to me from the UK. Tyla's Dogs D'Amour, straight up 2020. So this came out back in April 21st. And this one here is originally their 5th studio album, was released in 1990. So 30th anniversary for this. It's been re-recorded with the current lineup of the band, and something interesting happened on it where when it went to go get mastered, the computer, for whatever reason, put it in alphabetical order, the song listings in alphabetical order. So different than the way that the original album was, the track listing on this just plays alphabetically. Now, Tyler says that when he found out about this, it actually came out sounding really good. He liked the flow of it that way, and so he opted not to have it corrected. So that's what we are getting here, this resequenced version, and of course it's re-recorded for the 30th anniversary. So something kind of cool there and a little different from the original album, if you remember that one going back. Okay, and then the next one here actually came out back November 6th of 2020, but for some reason it went under the radar for me. I had heard about it, but I didn't pay much attention to it. And so I finally picked up this, David Bowie, Metropolis. Originally, it is the Man Who Sold the World album from 1970. That was his 3rd studio album. But for this, the 50th anniversary, they've re-released it with what was the original artwork and the original title of it here. And it has been now remixed by Tony Visconti, original producer on it, and of course featuring that original art restored there and everything. And what I didn't know is that that title, Metropolis, is actually a play on the Fritz Lang 1927 movie Metropolis. So there was a reason behind this, and it was something that apparently right up until it being issued, that's the name that was on the tapes, that's what Bowie intended it to be, and then for some reason at the last moment it was changed to The Man Who Sold the World. So this is the 50th anniversary remix of it, different than the regular versions that are out there and the remasterings that had been done a few years earlier, kind of a thing. So definitely excited to be checking that one out. And then went to my local record store, Academy Records, found 6 used CDs here that I'm going to run through with you. First one up being The Doors, Live from the Hollywood Bowl, 1987 CD release. Now the interesting thing is this has 7 tracks on it, but the total running time of this is only 22 minutes long. I mean, it is so short. In fact, I mean, it's actually the shortest live album released by The Doors, but it was recorded in 1968 and I guess just edited together at that time in 1987. That's what they wanted to put out. But it was later reissued in 2012, the full concert of this as Live at the Bowl 68. I think that was through The Doors' own Bright Midnight Records. But I wanted to pick this up. I had this one back in the day, and just the sequence of tracks, and it's kind of the immediacy of it, sort of a thing. Good to have. And these CDs I picked up for a couple bucks, so it's not like I'm spending any great deal on them. So always nice when you can find that sort of long lost CD that has been replaced by, you know, a complete show or something of that nature. But if you grew up with these edited recordings of things, sometimes, you know, it's always nice to pull those things out when you can. All right, and then I found this one. This is the only ZZ Top album I did not have in my collection. Now, I do have a box set that contains this, but I wanted a standalone copy in the jewel case, and that is ZZ Top Tres Hombres 1973 third studio album. And I know there's a lot of people out there that think this is the best ZZ Top album. This is the remastered one. It actually has 3 bonus tracks on it, live tracks, Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, and Lagrange. So very, very good sound on this one. I was really glad to find it. That's an album that doesn't seem to turn over a lot. Seems like fans hang on to that one, and no blame on them, because certainly it is a really good album. All right, and then another one I found here. I've actually got a remastered copy of this, but it comes in the dreaded Digipack, and these copies had always been hard to find until that remastered one finally came out, the reissue finally came out. So finally got one. Little Steven, Men Without Women, 1982 release. This was actually a reissue on Razor and Tie. But yeah, I just wanted this one in the collection as well. I've got the remastered one, but I don't care for the Digipack, so I'm pulling these in and out. I just want to grab this. And sometimes I like those the original, what I call the 80s masters of these things, or 90s masters, as opposed to the remastering that they do today on these things. And so I picked up the remaster to have it because I couldn't get it any other way. And then, of course, within a matter of a few months or so, I found this because I'm assuming someone bought the remaster and then sold this one off. But if you don't know who Little Steven is, he's been a member of, obviously, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, but he was also a member of Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. 2 really great bands. If you do like Little Steven, but you don't know the others, check them out, and vice versa, kind of a thing. But the title of this always struck me as something odd, Men Without Women. I always wondered what that meant, kind of a thing. But I actually found out that the title is taken from a collection of short stories by Ernest Hemingway. So the title track is also based on that, but the title, that's where it comes from. So I'm like, all right, now I know that it comes from somewhere. It means it's something a little more. I don't have to worry about that anymore, but didn't know that back in the day. All right, next one that I found was this, Billy Joel, The Bridge, 1986, 10th studio album. It is the remastered one too, which is really nice. Never been a big Billy Joel fan. I love all the hits and stuff that came off of it, and obviously he hasn't been recording since I think about 93. So, you know, he's just been playing a lot of live shows and things of that nature, retired from recording. But this album, the 1986 album, was always sort of the most rock album, and it had, the song Matter of Trust on it that I always really liked. But I just never picked it up. I've had a few Billy Joel albums, so I decided to give this one a go because it was a few bucks, and it does feature some cool guest artists on this when you got Ray Charles playing on Baby Grand and Steve Winwood on Getting Closer. So that's kind of cool. And that idea, that more rock vibe, it has some sort of new wave flavor and things mixed in with it. Running on Ice kind of sounds like it's got a Police vibe to it, and Modern Woman sort of sounds like it's got some Huey Lewis influences on it. So pretty cool album there, worth checking out if you never have. And then I picked this one up. This was also something I've had in the collection, but it was a diggy pack, so I found this on Jewel Case, the R.E.M. Collapse Into Now album from 2011. 15th studio album and final album so far, as the band has broken up. 10th anniversary, oddly enough, that it has now been out. And this thing too, I didn't know where the title of Collapse Into Now came from, but found out that it is actually the last line of the song that Michael Stipe, the vocalist, sings on the last song on the album, Blue. So kind of a cool way to title the album and end it, and they knew they were wrapping things up at this point, so that was kind of interesting there. I always really liked that album. It didn't do so well when it came out. They were, in a sort of a downward turn at that point, unfortunately, which I think is probably also what led to them deciding to, wrap things up. But I always thought that album was great. Uberlin, in particular, just absolutely great song. All right, and then the last thing I found, and I never knew this was out either, the Clash, the Singles 2007 release, single disc edition of this, so compilation as it states because it's singles. But I've got a 4-disc version of this. So they had released the singles in a box where you actually individual sleeve CD singles with the B-sides and things of that nature. And I had found a promo at the time that took all of that and put it on 4 discs, which I liked a lot better. It was like a box set kind of a thing. But I didn't know that they had ever just selected down the A-sides, the singles themselves, to a single disc of this. And I was thumbing through the section and saw this and thought it was the promo, but in turn it actually is a standard release single disc issue of this. So it collects the A-sides without all the B-sides on it. And then there's 2 bonus tracks that were not singles. So you get 20 total songs on this. The bonus ones are Train in Vain and Groovy Times on here. And so there you go. That is my new music finds, episode number 30. And don't forget to check the description for links to related videos and see what else I'm doing on the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please share it out on social media. Help spread the word that way. I would also really appreciate it. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.